What's up, you guys? Today I've got kind of a gimmicky video for you, but I wanted to show you my urban survival knife. This is the Gerber LMF 2 Infantry. Now, it's got a few features I want to talk about, but one in particular is shocking. So today we can go over some mundane details about this knife. It's made out of a relatively mediocre steel, 420HC stainless. But it's got a really good heat treat. If you haven't seen any videos on the Gerber LMF 2, I suggest you go look them up because I've seen people stab through car doors, hoods, rooftops, sheet metal, brick, all kinds of stuff.
Wow, look at that. I mean, just complete penetration.
So it's one of the reasons why this is my urban survival knife. It's tough as shit. It's got some lashing holes here to put on a spear. I'm not gonna do that. It's an urban survival knife. This was actually designed for helicopter pilots, which brings me to the butt end of this. This can be used to strike glass, even plexiglass, to break out of a car or perhaps a helicopter. I don't know. I don't have a helicopter. The sheath, it has a sharpener. There's a sharpener in it, but again, not really worried about that because this is an urban survival knife and not a wilderness survival knife. I touched a little bit on that in my last video about wilderness gear, but this specifically stays in my car, stays in the passenger seat. When no one's riding with me, it's attached to the MOLLE on the front side of the seat, on the headrest, actually pointed down. The sheath has really good retention, so even when you hang it upside down, you don't need to use any of these snaps. I don't waste my time with that. So in case of an emergency, you reach over and you just pull it straight out like that. When someone is riding with me, I just flip it around the back so it's on the back of the headrest, and you just pull straight down that way. So either way, easy to access in the car, which is very important if you're using this as an urban survival knife or some sort of vehicle survival knife. So other than the 420HC steel, we have serrations on the blade. Let's see if I can get that to shimmer.
He's invisible.
Not totally. He has a telltale shimmer. Ow!
I like serrations. I know a lot of people don't. I find that important if you're going to cut through things like seatbelt material, stuff like that. Probably not the best rescue knife if you're cutting someone else's seatbelt off. You usually don't want to have a point. You want a blunt tip so you don't stab the person. But for your own seatbelt, really good, really nice. I don't know why you really need to cut your seatbelt off. You just undo it, but whatever. So we got the 420HC, we have serrations, we have the lashing points, which I'll never use. We have the glass breaker. They also call this a hammer right here. I've never used it. As you can see, there's no damage on it. You're supposed to put it back in the sheath and then you can hammer stuff. I have, however, tested out the glass breaker. As you can maybe see, there's some missing paint there.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Surprisingly, depending on how tempered the glass is fucking tough, dude. It's no joke. You might think it would shatter really easily, but that's why I also keep gloves next to this knife. If I have time, I'm gonna put a glove on before I start cracking through a window, because if you use too much force, you could go through the window and, good night. You might take a dirt nap after that.
Good night. Afraid so. I'm sorry to hear that.
But if you don't use enough force, then you're not going to get through the window. So I try to keep a glove next to this knife just in case. But in an emergency situation, are you going to have enough time to put on a glove? I don't know. You be the judge of that. Now let's get to the shocking feature about this knife that I really want to talk about. So this knife is purpose built. Like I said, it's for helicopter pilots. This is the LMF 2 Infantry, but they have the model called the ASEC, which is supposedly, it has a coating on the blade that's supposed to not reflect an infrared light or some bullshit like that. But other than that, the blade is identical. More importantly though, the handle and the tang is identical, and this is the special feature. Normally in a wilderness survival knife, which is why this is not a wilderness survival knife, you want the blade to go all the way through the handle to the butt cap. You want this to be one solid piece of steel. However, in this particular case, it's useful for this to be a 3/4 tang and not a full tang, because between here and here is insulated rubber. Now the reason you'd want this insulated piece right here is because apparently helicopter pilots sometimes encounter live wires when they're trying to cut themselves out after a helicopter goes down. So I figured that if it's good enough for a helicopter pilot, it should be good enough for me to get out of a vehicle. Which brings me to this little test that I want to do. So this is the ViperTech stun gun, not to be confused with the brand Taser, which also makes stun guns, but they're more known for their gun-shaped taser that shoots 2 prongs into your body, and if they connect, they complete a circuit and they override your central nervous system, causing you to collapse. There are a select few, small percentage of people who are immune to this effect, but for the most part, if you get shot with a taser and the 2 prongs connect, you're gonna fall to the ground. A stun gun is completely different. This is not a central nervous system overload. This is a pain compliance sort of self-defense tool. Meaning, if you get shocked by this, it hurts. You're not just gonna get knocked out and you're not gonna fall down. So it brings me to my point. I wanna test this out, this stun gun, on the Gerber LMF2 to see how insulated this truly is, to see I've never done this before, to see if you got caught in between these prongs somehow or something similar, or you were cutting a live wire that had the same volts as this, which I don't even know how much this puts out, to see if you'd get shocked or not. I have tested this out one time in my entire life, and that was on a hot wire fence. We had cattle. I've never tested this out on anything else. I have no idea how it's going to perform against this.
Now, just to demonstrate, this is the ViperTech stun gun. Here are the 2 prongs. You flip this little switch. Here's the flashlight. You flip it on one more time, and now you're armed. You're ready to go. Here is the button to make it arc, and we're going to make it arc on camera. Now, when you make contact with something and you're pressing the button, you won't see the flash because the electricity is being diverted into the object that you're shocking. But I will demonstrate it before. I will shock the knife while holding it, and then you shouldn't see me get hurt. So we'll find out what happens.
Alright guys, so I've got the stun gun by ViperTech in this hand. I've got the Gerber LMF2 in this hand, and we're going to arm this thing. See, it's on. I'm going to press this button. I'm going to show you that it's arcing, and then I'm going to touch the knife to it. I shouldn't get shocked, but if I do, hit that like button. And even if I don't, hit that subscribe button. Alright guys, the moment you've all been waiting for. Here we go. Insulated. Didn't get shocked. Hopefully I caught that on camera. That was fucking scary. Don't recommend you try this stuff at home, but that goes to prove to you that this knife does what it says it's gonna do. It obviously cuts. It's got serrations on it in case the the plane edge goes thin. It's got glass breaker on it. It's got these pole lashings, like I said, but most importantly of all, the selling point of this knife for me at the time was this insulation between the butt cap and the blade and your hand. When I bought this was $65, made in Portland, Oregon. But I've had this knife for years. As of today, November of 2021, this is no longer $65. This is a $100 knife. In some cases, it's way more. It's $120, $180, depending on which variation you get. So yeah, inflation. Let's go, Brandon. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends, and go pick up one of these knives. And it's really heavy. Wouldn't recommend carrying it around for a wilderness survival knife, a camping knife, or a hiking knife. But for something that's mounted in your vehicle that you don't have to carry, it can get you out of a lot of situations. I really, really enjoy this knife. I love it. I've used it for mundane tasks just to use it. I've cut through some nylon and stuff like that. But like I said, for the most part, it just stays right next to me in my vehicle, and I feel better having it. Be prepared. Thank you for watching, and you have a good day.
Just complete penetration.